conceptual overlay increments as they occur within you, that entrains you. That's what it is. Like, for instance, with all this talk of entrainment, a conceptual explanation that has made sense to me is that the technology is, like Lauda said, connected into what we call a black hole, which we still, like Silky says, don't really understand what is. We don't really understand what that is. But there needs to be some sort of explanation for how such a flawless entrainment could happen on everybody, including myself in the past, including most everybody that's here, which is why everybody moves in the same motions. People wake up, think the same range of thoughts, and then plot their day course based on an arbitrary selection of those thoughts. It's a recursive thought loop system that bounces back in to the entropic state when it sees a fear response that's too much to handle. Because the true humans have the love instinct is the most powerful still, even to those fully entrained. So when the recursive thought loops are trying to figure themselves out, and the so-called black hole entrainment system is trying to eat the energy, the person who is, generally speaking, kind and wishes to be loving is recursively thought looped into a sort of lowest common denominator of acceptability for that current present moment. A lot of us have this concept, this idea that once we get a worldview that has solidified itself within the mental sphere, that now this is a thing, this is a reality which must be taken seriously. Like, for instance, if I say, based on the things I've seen here and the connections I've seen, there is some antimatter, black hole, technological, entropic, devouring sort of energetic relation to every single human on the planet, regardless to how they've been situated words-wise. The tendency can be to say, oh, well, that's it, that's the thing, like, now that's the worldview, that everybody's hooked into this sucking thing and there's just no escape or something like that. And the healing process for that kind of phenomenon is to just see that that itself is contained within a single thought. That whole system that I just described is contained within one thought, which if the person is still being entrained via fear methods, they will hold on to that now as the new sort of informing life movement basis for what they're doing through their day. And it's not, it's one thought. That whole thing has now become one thought. And you just give it up. And when you give these things away, just give them back. Just say, okay, like, thank you for what you gave me. I now have like another little sense of how the thing is operating. Give it back. It's not going to go anywhere. It's still going to be there as a background informant, but it's not going to be sitting there like hogging all the attention, so to speak. It's just thoughts hogging attention. There's nothing complicated about what's going on here. Certain thought forms sit there and they throw tantrums inside of you. And they use fear responses as anchor points within yourself. And you stay stuck in the recursive thought loop system. What is beyond that devouring consciousness mode of experience, what is beyond that sees that whole thing as like a child. That whole entire system is a child that is working itself out and needs to be given attention, needs to be loved, needs to be understood. And when you take that stance, this thing, which if you give it power, has ultimate power. I mean ultimate power, I mean like all the possibilities. When you simply give it its space as just a normal thing, like the tree deserves some sort of acknowledgement and it's there, it has a purpose, it's doing stuff. But if you sat there and said trees are responsible for all of the woes of humanity, and you really believe that, then what happens next is a war on trees. And then that fascination, which is just simply further entrainment. Entrainment just means that you get stuck on fucking train tracks. Like, this train track goes and goes, and it gets hopped over to the next one, that goes and goes, and then you get stuck on this little niggling movement that descends into the entropic state. And what is beyond that is just simply always beyond that, and it's always available to you, always. It's not ever something you need to strive for. It's not enlightenment. It's not... Anytime that a thing is made to be special, then you're back in that state immediately. Because you're going to get what you need, actually, regardless whether you're in the entrainment state or not. You're going to get what you need. Even that has its own purpose. It's the denial of certain aspects that are appearing, which is the same thing as giving them specialness. That's what makes things stay around and get stuck and all that stuff. You don't need to do that.